So I hope that convinces you that actually we do need new drugs. But you might say, well, what's that got to do with the University of Dundee, right? Surely that's the responsibility of pharmaceutical companies, not academics. And of course, the bottom line is that it's not economically viable for pharmaceutical companies to develop new drugs on their own against diseases of poverty, because it costs in the region of $1 billion to develop a new treatment. And they have no hope of return on the investment. And indeed, only 1% of all the new drugs developed over the past 25 years are for neglected diseases. And those, the reason they're not fit for purpose was because they were designed for other use. For cancer treatment, so you know what cancer drugs are like, so they're not particularly pleasant to receive, or the ones that are slightly more successful actually come from the treatment of veterinary disease, where certain compounds like ivermectin, which if you have a cat or a dog or a horse, you may be familiar with, it's used to treat onchocerciasis or river blindness. The discovery process, drug discovery process, is a long and complicated process, and I'm not going to bore you with a huge amount of detail on that. Just to say that it takes in the region of about 10 to 12 years from a basic discovery through to having an approved drug. And a review commissioned by Médecins Sans Frontières that works a lot on neglected diseases in about 2000 found really there were three major gaps. The first one was that discoveries made by academics like myself and others just simply didn't enter into what's called the discovery phase of the drug discovery process. That there were compounds that pharmaceutical companies knew about that should be going into clinical trials, but they had no incentive to do so. And then, worst of all, new drugs and existing drugs were not getting to the patients. This is called the access issue. So for all these reasons, clearly there's a great need to fill these gaps. And the drug discovery unit at the University of Dundee fills the first gap, where we take basic discoveries and translate those discoveries into potential medicines ready for testing in human volunteers. So how did it come about? Well, actually, originally I wrote a grand challenge to the Gates Foundation saying, I don't care where it is in the world, there should be an institute of drug discovery for neglected diseases. And they loved it, but then when they put it on their website, but when they actually laid out their grand challenges, there was no institute for drug discovery in the world mentioned. The next thing that happened was I was trying very hard to work with a pharmaceutical company, and the whole process had taken about 9 years at this point. First they were interested, then they weren't interested, then they started the drug discovery process. When there was a merger and takeover, and they said, oh, well, we have to stop that. So I'm looking fed up, walking down the corridor in the lab, and Mike Ferguson, our Dean of Research, came up to me and said, oh, you're looking a bit miserable, what's the problem? I said, you know, it's happened again, just can't get anything going. And he said, hey, you remembered this grand challenge, this 2-page outline I'd written, and he said, do you still have that? Can I borrow it? I said, yeah, sure. And he sent it to the Wellcome Trust, the big charity in London. The Wellcome Trust was interested in this. We were given the green light to go ahead and apply for funding. And the rest is history, as they say. So how does the drug discovery work? Drug discovery unit work? Well, the first thing is that we work on the basis of excellence in science has to underpin everything that's done in translational work. Of combined with drug discovery know-how. These are people from industry who really understand how to make a new drug. It's run by the scientists who are the experts in drug discovery, not by Mike Ferguson or I. We're far too academic and would go off on a tangent and forget what we were supposed to be doing. And you need clear, focused goals about what you're doing, and that's driven by something called the target product profile, okay? So we ask the clinicians in the field, what kind of drug do they want? It's very important to keep that in mind, otherwise we may end up with something that's not fit for purpose, as I've mentioned. So we're organised into project teams, so there'll be a basic scientist, a screening biologist, pharmacologist, and a medicinal chemist. And one of the key things is that you have to have timelines and milestones that you have to meet, because if you're not meeting those deadlines, then the project will be killed off. And so it's not like academic research, it is quite business-like in that sense. So in terms of resources, we have everything you would expect in a major pharmaceutical, small to medium pharmaceutical company. High throughput screening, robotics, bespoke compound collections of various types. We have industry standard data management and analysis tools, computational and medicinal chemistry, structural biologists to help us, and most importantly, the in vitro, that means in the culture dish, ways of culturing these parasites and testing the drug-like molecules, and also we have suitable animal models to test them there as well. And the most critical thing which makes this university unique in all the UK universities is the fact that not only is all this integrated, but we also have pharmacology experts as well. And they are the ultimate arbiter and tells us whether the drug is going to work or not.